Hello, so today I'm going to be running you through how to set up a virtual campaign, also known as a Facebook fundraiser. So you're going to log into your GivePanel account, and in the top navigation you're going to click on campaigns and click campaigns again. Then at the top right hand side we'll see a new campaign button. When you click this you'll have two options. So for this we're obviously looking at virtual events, again Facebook fundraisers. To create your virtual event, there are four main parts to it. There's the campaign setup, the registration form, the fundraiser settings, and then the email journey as well. So we're just going to briefly walk through these, but we do also have some help articles that you can have a look at that guide you through some of these steps. So we're going to select a title. For this test, I'm going to choose Walk 100k in September. And then you're going to select your campaign start and end dates. So for this one, obviously the 1st of September to the 30th of September. And we're also going to choose a public campaign name. So I'm just going to copy and paste the campaign name here. You can then add a description of the campaign. For this I'm just going to add in test, but you would put in your campaign description. And then we have options for labels here. So these are labels that are applied to fundraisers when they're set up in your system, and internal codes which you can use for your income coding, for example. Then you can link your Facebook group URL. So before coming to set up this campaign, we recommend getting your event and your campaign set up in Just Giving, and also getting your Facebook group set up. So for here, I'm just going to add in a test event ID, but you would obviously use the event ID that you have already set up on Just Giving. And the Just Giving campaign short name, so that's just the end of the URL after the / campaign. If you are set up and enabled to use iDonate and GoFundMe, there are options to add this in here. And the last section is your campaign reporting. So this is really just some internal information about the campaign and what you're trying to achieve. So you can choose which platform you'll be getting your leads from, the campaign category, what your target is, and what your participation target is as well, for example. We do also have integrations with a few SMS platforms, so Conversa and SlickTech. So if you are using these, you can enable these here. And finally, you would link your Meta lead form. So that's the lead form that you set up actually on the back end of Facebook. So this is where you would add that link. I'm going to click Save and Continue. And then the next step is to set up your registration form. We have a really handy preview at the right hand side of the page. You do have options to use an existing form. So if you've set up Facebook fundraisers, virtual campaigns before, then you can use an existing form and tweak it. Or you can set up a new form from scratch. So for this example, I'm just going to add some text here. You can choose your charity's logo. We obviously want to have event registration with one-click fundraising. That means that they register and set up their fundraiser in the same process. You can edit your default greeting, that's this part at the top here. And you can also edit the default message. Then you have all of your field forms that you can edit, reorder and use as you wish. So there are a few custom drop downs that you can edit, and a custom text field. If you want to get phone number or address, you can toggle these on and off here and they will show in the form. You can also link to your privacy policy, and then depending on which fundraising platforms you have enabled in the first part of the campaign setup, you can decide what you want to use here. So for this example, I'm just going to use Just Giving, and if I scroll back up, you can see that only Just Giving shows here on the registration form. You do also have the Activate Later option, so that's if you want supporters to register and then activate their fundraising page later, so not do it in the one step. And there's copy that you can add to that activation email as well that I'll show you shortly. You can choose to display the fundraising regulator logo. So if I scroll back up, you can see that that's popped on the registration form. And as I mentioned, you can allow users to activate their fundraisers later, but we generally advise that on the registration form, you have supporters activating their fundraising at the point of registration. Once they register, they will get an automated registration email that's triggered immediately after the registration. So you can obviously edit the name that the email comes from and the email address as well. You can edit the subject line and you can edit the message, and there are a few merge tags here that you can pull into the email. You can have it send a copy of this email every time the form is submitted to a certain email address, but obviously you can also see all of that information in your GivePanel account. There's also some settings around link preview, so when you're sending the link to people, what does the preview look like? So you can choose an image and you can choose the copy here. So I'm going to save and continue. And then the next step is your fundraiser template. So with Facebook fundraisers, generally people are either fundraising on Facebook or Just Giving or both. So this is where you can set the settings for that. So you can add your charity logo, the image that goes on the top of the fundraiser title, the description, end dates. If you have a set target amount for your virtual challenge, you can set that here. And then you have the custom fundraiser link that's auto-generated. So that's a link that can go to supporters that gets them to create their Facebook fundraiser, and a landing message, and this can all be edited. Then you have the success message. So thank you for signing up to the campaign. Thank you for setting up your Just Giving page. These are the next steps. So this message can be fully edited. And then finally, you have the automated fundraiser email. So all these settings and text can be edited here. And you can trigger these emails. So if you're using Just Giving, obviously you can turn that on. And it tells you that this is going to trigger immediately after the fundraiser is created. Again, you have all this copy here that you can edit. So I'm going to save and continue. Hopefully, oh, haven't missed anything. There we go. And the final step is setting up your email journey. This is the really important part. So the first thing you'll need to do, if this is the first time setting up this campaign, is edit your settings. So the banner image that's going to be on your emails, the from, email address and name, who you want your replies to go to, and if you have any set excluded or unsubscribed blacklist supporters, you can add them here. So I'm just going to put in some test information here and click Save Email Settings. And then to add a new email, you click the Add a New Email button. You're offered two options. So a personal email is basically a really clear, non-branded email. It's quite good for really clear calls to action, whereas the branded email obviously brings in all of your marketing and style from your GivePanel account and brings that into the email. So for this example, I'm just going to click Create Branded Email. And the first thing you'll see is triggers and conditions. So this is where you can set all of the email journey depending on the behaviour of the supporter. You can schedule the email to go a certain number of days after registration or before the campaign starts, after the campaign finishes. You can also trigger it by amount raised. So if you have certain milestones in your journey, you can do that either by saying, you know, if they haven't raised anything, if they've raised 0, or if it's between a certain amount, or if it's more than or equal to a certain amount after X number of days. And there's a really handy preview at the top here that just explains the conditions that you've added in. And then we have the conditions option as well. So this is additional to the trigger. So if they haven't claimed their Just Giving page, you can set an email that prompts them to claim their Just Giving page. If they're using a set fundraising platform, you can have different journeys, or you can obviously have no condition. Obviously, you can edit your subject line and you can edit the entire email. We have all the merge tags that we can bring in from the campaign, which is really useful depending on what you're wanting to do. You can add in images, links, change the fonts, whatever you want to do. Make sure as well the logo and banner will pull from your email settings or your account settings, so make sure that's set up the way you want to do it. And I'll just pretend I've saved one here. You can send a test email, which is really handy to see how it looks. But if you're happy with it, you can click Save Changes. And that will be saved and you'll see it on the right hand side. Once you're happy with your email journey, you click Finish. And then you'll see your event will pop up. So this is the one that we've just looked at. And then if we want to look at what the registration form looks like, you have your link right here in your campaigns list. And here we can see the test form that we just built. So that is how you build a Facebook fundraising or virtual challenge campaign.